Welcome to the Daily Forex Market Analysis, and this is for trading on December the 4th, 2019. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so as usual here, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar. It was pretty light in terms of the data here. We did have data out of the Eurozone, which was positive. And then coming up here, we have GDP numbers for Australia. So yesterday, the Reserve Bank of Australia didn't really make any moves as a result, or their outlook was more positive than we were expecting. So overall, it was positive for Australian dollar, and we saw Australian dollar go up. Today, if the GDP numbers are also positive, we can see Australian dollar go up further. So keep that in mind. And then coming up here, we have a busy Wednesday. First of all, we have PMI numbers out of the Eurozone. PMI numbers are very important. They are they're the precursors, so they're leading indicators to retail sales and then GDP numbers. So if the PMI numbers come in above expectations, that provides us a very positive outlook for the economy. So any positive numbers here will be good for the euro. We also have ADP non-farm employment numbers here out of the US. These are precursors to non-farm payroll numbers, which come out on Friday. So if these numbers are positive, we are likely to see a little bit lift in the US dollar. And we also have Bank of Canada rate statement here. At this point, they're not expected to cut rates. Last time we had the rate statement, there were comments that came out saying that Bank of Canada was considering, or at least looking at, an interest rate cut, and that had actually push the Canadian dollar down. Now, since then, we've had some mixed reviews in terms of, or mixed comments in terms of what Bank of Canada is thinking. So we'll have to just wait and see what kind of comments come out of it, or what their statement says. And if the Bank of Canada is neutral, then we're not likely to see a big change. But if they are dovish, if they expect to have problems with the economy, that can make the Canadian dollar drop. However, if Bank of Canada thinks that it would be okay to hold the rates steady for a while and not cut them, that would be positive for Canadian dollar. So that's what we have coming up. And then also in the US session, we have PMI numbers out of the US. So very, very important numbers. If this meets the expectations or comes in above expectations, that would be positive for the US. Otherwise, we could see it drop. And we have Reserve Bank of New Zealand, Governor Orr speaking, as well as we have retail sales out of Australia here. So Australia and New Zealand dollar both have done really well because the PMI numbers out of China were positive, and that in turn pushed Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar up. Also, another something else that we have to keep in mind, US dollar has taken a hit over the last couple of days here. And part of the reason for that is because President Trump has been talking about potential tariffs or on the Eurozone, and that is not good. So any kind of comments that basically show that things will not be steady are considered negative by the market. So we have seen US dollar drop as a result. And also in the US and China trade relationships, or in relationship, we also saw more comments come out today. If President Trump in an interview said that, essentially said that he can wait for the deal. Basically, it sounded like there was no firm date as to when even the phase 1 deal will be signed. Does not look like it will get signed by December 15th, when the additional tariffs are supposed to get kicked in. And he even mentioned that maybe the US will do a deal after the 2020 election, which is in November 2020. So this is overall not positive for the equity markets, and we have seen a drop there. Now, generally, when this happens, we tend to see Japanese yen go up, so yen crosses drop. So there was some of that, but the US dollar really took a hit because of this talk about tariffs on the Eurozone. So generally we see the US dollar acts as a safe haven asset as well, but not today or not right now. It has not been doing that. So we need to keep an eye on the developments to see what happens there. So let's go on to our charts now. We'll start off with euro dollar as usual. So for the euro dollar here, we have an indecision candle. This candle with pins on both sides and small candle body. This is an indecision candle. Yesterday price or today price did go up, but it came into resistance and has dropped. So at this point, my outlook on euro is neutral at this point. So what I would look for is a retest of the high of today, and if price stays below that, we could see price come back into the range. So overall, euro dollar has been trading in this range for some time now, since beginning of November, and now we are into the resistance, into the top of the range. So if it's not able to maintain or hold above today's high, then we are likely to see a drop. But overall, euro has been bullish. So if it crosses to the other side and starts to hold here, then we could see a further move higher. So keep an eye on this. It's at an important resistance level. So we need to wait and watch and see where price holds. So if price holds above 1.1100, I would look for a further move higher towards 1150 and potentially even higher, depending on what the sentiment ends up being for the US dollar. So the first target in that case would be 1.1150, second target would be 1.1180. However, if it does not break the resistance, because we are into the range high, if it doesn't break through, then we are looking for price to drop essentially. And we're looking for a move back into the range here. And towards first target then would be 1.10, around that level, 1.1040, and then potentially into 1.0980. But right now it's into resistance, so we just need to see how that plays out. So for now, bias is neutral for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one is pushing into the top of this resistance here, and price has been trading in this range for quite some time, as we can see after that big push up for Brexit here. Now price has just been trading in a range here, and we are seeing it push into the resistance, so top of the range. It looks quite bullish here, so bias is bullish, but do keep in mind we are into the resistance here as well. So we could see price break out of this range and then go higher. So bias is bullish, but again, very important to see if price will hold above 1.30. If it holds above 1.30, we could see it go higher all the way potentially into 1.3180. And prior to that, the first target here in that case would be 1.3100, and then the second target would be 1.3180. Now, if it doesn't hold though, so it looks like it wants to break out, it's holding in a very bullish manner here, but it is into resistance, into the top of the range, which it hasn't gone through in some time. So if it's not able to break that, it could come back into the range. In that case, we are looking for a move towards 1.29 and then 1.2820. But for now, we need to wait and see which way this wants to break. If it does break higher, the move could be quite substantial. So just keep an eye on that. So for now, bias is bullish, but with caution. Aussie dollar here, this one has been bullish for the last 2 days. Price has been quite bullish here. So bias still remains bullish. Yesterday, we were looking for a move higher. We got that. Now, still looking for a bullish move here. Next target is 0.6880. So I would look for a bit of a pullback here, potentially into 0.6835 area, and then looking for a move higher. So bias here is bullish, and this is the move that I'm looking for Aussie dollar. So bullish bias here. New Zealand dollar here, this is also bullish, big move higher, and now we're still in that bullish territory. We have a nice bullish candle close, so we could see price go higher. Target here is 0.6560. So bias is bullish for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this one is trading in a range still. Today's candle close is neutral. We saw that the price tested the high of the range like we talked about yesterday, and then came back into the range. So now I'm looking for a move lower towards the bottom of the range into 1.3250. So bias is more bearish here towards the bottom of the range for dollar CAD. Pound Aussie here, this is looking neutral at the moment. Price opened and closed at exactly the same level here. Not looking like a move in any particular direction. With this one thing to notice here is that price failed to break below the support. So I would look for price to retest the low. If it doesn't break, then we're looking for price to essentially go back towards the top of the range here at 1.9070. So neutral bias for Pound Aussie at the moment. Let's take a look at our commodities now. So we see that price has been trading in a range here for silver. We did have a nice bullish move up in silver, and a lot of that had to do with US and China trade negotiations that we talked about, and especially with that interview that President Trump did, and basically made a comment that he would be okay, even it was maybe he should consider not doing a trade deal till after the elections. All of that did not sound very positive. So right now we saw safe haven assets basically go back up, silver being one of them. So we have a bullish candle close. So bias is bullish, but do keep in mind that this is the range that price has been trading in. So if it does not break the high of the range, which is at 17.20, if it holds below, then it can come back into the range. So that is the risk. It is at the top of the range, and it can turn around and drop. So that's the risk. Now, should it go through this one, then we could see price go higher. In that case, we are looking at 17.65 as the next target. But because price is into resistance here, we just have to be careful. So bias is bullish, but with caution. Gold here, same thing, nice bullish candle close here, right into our resistance here. So again, this is the range it's been trading in for a while, and we are into the high of the range. However, we do have this double bottom situation here. So if it's able to break this through this neckline where it is currently into the resistance, if it breaks through the resistance, then we could see a nice move higher. First target would be 1495, and then even potentially into 1520. So bias is bullish. We do have a double bottom in place. However, neckline has not been cleared, and it is into resistance right now. So if it doesn't go through 1478, it can come back down. But right now, it is looking bullish. So next target is 1495 and then 1520 for gold. Oil here, oil still holding here. Bias is neutral still. It hasn't really decided which direction it wants to go. We did have a big drop here, and it has pulled back from there, but it's just holding in this area. So for oil, if it holds below 56.65, it can continue lower. Now, on the other hand, if it breaks through this level, then I would look for it to go all the way towards the high at 58.70. But right now, if it holds below 56.65, we are likely to see this drop towards 54.80. So right now, the bias is neutral for oil, and we just need to see how price plays out around 56.65 area. Copper here, yesterday we were looking for a drop. We had a nice pin bar. We got that drop. It's still looking bearish, but keep in mind, we are very close. We're right into our support here. Several times we had nice bearish candle close right into the support, but price wasn't able to break through and it turned around. So this is why price is has been trading in this range for the last little while. So now we do need to see the price go through the range, so break through the range for it to continue lower. So our 2.57 is the critical area. If it drops, then we're looking for a further move lower into 2.54. So bias is bearish for copper. Bitcoin here, today's move was very neutral, but it is still holding below the previous support here. Now it's turning into resistance. So right now it looks bearish. So as long as price holds below 73.80, we're likely to continue seeing a drop. Next target here is 67.70, and then we're looking at 64.80. So bias here is bearish as long as it holds below 73.80. If it goes through this, then it could go all the way to 78.50. But right now, it's holding below 73.80, so it looks bearish. S&P 500, a big drop today as well. The last 2 days, we have seen a drop in equities because of the whole US and China not really being close to any sort of an agreement, and that is bearish for the equity markets because equity markets were counting on US and China to at least sign a phase 1 deal so that the tariffs that are supposed to go into place on December 15th, those could be averted. So at this point, there's no deal, and China's putting sanctions on US NGOs, and China is not happy with the bill that got signed around Hong Kong. So stuff is sort of up in the air at the moment. Market doesn't like it. Seems like the deal is nowhere close to where everybody expected it to be. So bias here basically is bearish. Sentiment is negative. Big drop here. Now we are into support. So it reached our second target here, but now we are into support. So this is an important support. And for price to continue lower, we do need to see a break through that support. So right now, bias is bearish. The first target will be a retest of this level at 30.65. If it doesn't break, this one can turn around. So do keep an eye on it. But should it break through here, still looking for a further drop in the market. 30.35 is the next target here. So bias is bearish for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, this one is also had a bearish move today. It did go into the targets that we had discussed yesterday. Now, though, it is looking bearish. However, there is also this pin in the bottom here. So price has pulled back, and we need to see the price kind of break through the support for it to continue lower. So bias is still bearish, but we could get a pullback into 80 to 80-ish level, and then if it holds below, so again, first target would be 81.50. So I'm looking for it to come and retest the support here, and if it goes through that, I would look at 80.80. But for now, bias is bearish. Okay, Dow Jones here, big drop in Dow Jones. It went through our second target as well. And we do see momentum to the downside, went right into this support, the resistance turning into support here, this previous support resistance level. This is an important level here. See how price struggled breaking out through this, and then it dropped here. So now it may struggle going through it to the downside. The bias is bearish. First target would be 27.30 back into this level, and only if it goes through this would I look for the next target at 27,130. So bias here is bearish, but with caution. Now we could get a pullback into 27,650 and then a drop. So bias is bearish for Dow Jones here as well. And then coming into DAX here, DAX actually pulled back a bit, but it's still holding below the previous level here, this range that I was trading in. It's into the bottom of this range. So as long as price holds below 13,000, I will look for a further drop. Now what can happen is that it could go higher towards 13,180-ish level. So that can happen, and then a drop from there. So I would be careful with this move higher, but bias is bearish, and if it holds below 13,000, then definitely I'm looking for a move lower. If it goes through this level, it could go higher into 13,180, and I will look for a reversal at that point then. So at this point, it's neutral for DAX. FTSE here, a big drop here. Yesterday we were looking for a drop again. This one as well went through our second target all the way into the support level here. So bias is again bearish, but do keep in mind we are into support, and price has just been trading in this range for some time. So it could reverse from here like it did here, but it is still bearish. Just be careful at this point because it could turn around. But first target here, I will look for a retest of the low at 71.30. If it doesn't go through because of the support, it could turn. And so that's the first target. Second target is 70.80, so 7,080. Bias is bearish for FTSE. Our Nikkei here, this one kind of went both ways. It did a pullback, a nice drop here, but then pulled back here. So this is the range it's been trading in, and it's still in the range here. So today's bias here is neutral for Nikkei here. We do need to see it drop through the support for this one to continue lower. If it does not drop through the support at 23,000, if it holds above, in that case, chances are very high that it goes back towards the top of the range. So for now, neutral bias, we have to pay attention to 23,000 level. If it holds above, I will look for a move higher. But if as soon as it drops, I'm looking for 22,680 as the next target. For now, this is neutral. All right, so that's it for today. Guys, have a wonderful trading day tomorrow, and I'll be back with the daily analysis tomorrow. So bye for now.